I think that Islamophobia is real.
I think Islamophobia is both.
I definitely think Islamophobia is real.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
You know, my mom told me this story when she gave birth to my little sister on September 27, 2001, just a couple days after 9/11. And because of how badly every single Muslim was portrayed in the media, and because they tied that one action of a terrorist group to the rest of the religion, my mother, when she was giving birth to my sister, was treated with so much disrespect by the nurses, by the doctors. They were yelling at her and saying it was her people that killed their family members, when my mother had nothing to do with anybody. She's Southeast Asian. My father wasn't even allowed in the hospital because he had a beard and because he looked like a terrorist, and he missed out on the birth of his daughter. We're not really different from people, but because they don't really understand the concept of Islam and why we're Muslim and like just the general rules and stuff like that, and like our hadith and our du'as that they don't really understand, and because they don't really understand, they get scared, and so they focus on what media says about us, since that is probably the only outlet they have about Islam, you know, and Muslims. Media portrays Muslim as ISIS, and so, you know, ISIS is a bad group that's really bad, and so they take ISIS as what Muslims are generally, and that just really negatively impacts the Muslim community all over the world. It kind of just like impacted me on like how I think about people, and me being more cautious and more like weary about how I act, what I say, what I do, what I think in general, so that people will understand Muslims better as better people rather than what media says.
And that affects how I perceive myself, because I have to make sure that the way I talk or the way I act, you know, spreads a positive image. Because clearly without, you know, the individual, the only standard for a Muslim is what's on TV.
And for somebody who's not Muslim and who doesn't experience the things that Muslim people go through, it's not fair for them to say it doesn't exist, you know? It's like somebody that's not in the position of oppression can't say that it's a social construct, that we're exaggerating it, that we're being mistreated, and that we're making it up, the fact that we feel attacked.
Media portrayal and lack of representation in general affects how Muslims are perceived, because, you know, there's only two major things that people base it off of. So we're only seen as terrorists and people who, you know, oppress the women in the society, and it's seen as a really strict religion, and it doesn't base around peace and stuff because of the conflicts in the terrorist attacks and ISIS. Whereas media portrayal of white people, if I were to flip it, is nowhere near the same as how Muslims are perceived. There's a terrorist group such as the KKK, but that's not linked to, you know, Christianity or Christians in general. So why is it that the media flips the script when it comes to Muslims?
So we just came back from a restaurant, or actually we didn't even eat there, but we just stepped foot for only 2 minutes, not even, maybe less than a minute, before we left out, because we just experienced Islamophobia.
Honestly, like, half of our party was already there in a waiting room, right, around the corner. We walk in.
We took a wrong turn, right?
Basically, we took the wrong turn. You know, we just misunderstood what she said, which corner to take. And behind us, someone whispers, or someone, not even whispers, blatantly says loud enough for Mayam to hear in her ear.
None of you speak English. Like, what the?
So is it because we have, you know,
scars on
our heads that we don't look like we're American? You know, as if all three of us,
like, we're human, we can misunderstand.
Yeah.
There was two corners. It's perfectly understandable to misunderstand which corner you were talking about. You can't jump to conclusions.
But in no right did you have to question, like, if we were immigrants or, you know, not part of America, as if we just came in to trash on them. You know, all we wanted was to eat food, not to feel discriminated against because of what beliefs we have. It's such a shock that not only did this happen once with the same group of people, but it happened previously within the same month.
The fact that it happens, and the fact that people say that Islamophobia isn't real, that we make it up, that nothing probably happens to us, we're just exaggerating. No.
Think about it in a different situation. If we were not Muslim, if we didn't look the way we did,
it would have just been like, oh.
It would have been like, oh, you took the wrong turn.
That's it. It would have been the end of the conversation. But no, because we wear a headscarf, we're automatically foreign, we're othered.
And seen as inferior and stupid, as if we didn't understand your directions. Like, oh, you don't know how to speak English. You clearly don't understand what I just told you. You can't comprehend the ideas that I'm trying to communicate to you. How does that equate to our religion? How should the way we look affect the way people treat us as if we're less than human? Never in my life have I been more aware than in the environment that's been created by the political atmosphere as well. You know, we have someone who's elected who's preaching these ideologies, which makes it normalized.
I'm extremely disappointed. Like, how can you do that? And when you're in such a position and you're gonna insult your customers, you just lost 8 customers. Like,
but they're fine with that because what? Because they would rather
less than human.
Yeah, they'd rather lose money than serve Muslims.
And that's the fault in society. That's a result of how Muslims are being portrayed so poorly that people start to think we are poor, we are less than, you know?
We are stupid. We are, just here, straight fresh off the boat immigrants that don't know how to speak English.
That's what they think of us. They don't think of us as a good contribution to society.